Welcome to Business Class, a podcast for people wanting to upgrade their thinking, upgrade their learning, and upgrade their life. I'm your host, Eugenia Panderhos, founder of Business Class Collective, best-selling author and life coach. If you're an entrepreneur, a startup, or someone who dreams of reaching their full potential, then you're in the right place. You'll feel empowered and inspired to design the life you've always wanted. Let's do this. Hi gorgeous people, welcome back. It's so lovely to have you here again. This week we're going to be talking about boundaries. So how do we become a boundary queen? Well, we've all been there, saying yes when you really want to say no. Boundaries can be tricky. We give those close to us, whether it's family, friends, work colleagues or acquaintances, access to the best part of us. But we need to remind ourselves that we are in charge of who has access and how often they have access, and under what circumstances that access happens. So what is a boundary? A boundary is a demarcation between things we are responsible for and those that we can't be responsible for. Take, for example, if we were supporting a friend through a career path choice or obstacle. We can give advice, share our thoughts, but we can't take on the necessary action required for our friend to achieve the end point. This is an example of a healthy boundary because we are clear in knowing that the action required is not ours to own. Having and giving advice and supporting a friend through any part of their life, we intimately know that we can't do that work for them. So that's a really clear demarcation. But sometimes the demarcation can be blurred, and this is where we need to stand in our power and assess. So boundaries are crucial to help us to know when not to overstep. Sometimes we say yes to things that aren't ours to say yes to, so that people can think better of us, or so that we can remain likable. Other times, we may not voice our concerns or upsets for the same reason. And this is how we find ourselves in the loop of being the person who is constantly available or accommodating so that we don't rock the boat. But it comes at a cost. Because people matter to us and we want to matter to other people, treading this fine line of boundary setting can be dubious. We don't want to risk losing a relationship. We don't want a bad reaction. We really don't want people to withdraw and sulk. It doesn't feel good, and that's not the end point that we're after. At the workplace, we don't want to disrupt morale or deflate confidence. We don't want to be defensive or irritated, and we don't want to be walking on eggshells, whether that's in the workplace or in our home or personal relationships. There really is nothing worse than having to second guess and tread lightly and constantly be in a state of worry. That's not good either. And these are the reasons why we may have the inability to act on setting healthy boundaries. What we want to avoid is resentment for how many times someone interrupts or relies on us, or conversely, when they can't show up for us in a positive way. How many times have you agreed to catch up with friends or to go out on a night that was otherwise reserved for something just for you? It could be your fitness class, a language lesson, or time promised with your family. Clear communication helps find a winning solution and set healthy boundaries. In the workplace, unmanageable work schedules, unexpected travel, and the feeling of needing to say yes to that new project, combined with constant reminder notifications, can bring a great deal of overwhelm and a feeling of lack of control. Technology has meant that employees and managers feel the need to lead a 24/7 work life. A great leader, however, will put healthy boundaries in place for themselves, their teams, and their families. They will demonstrate just how to protect downtime, negotiate how to commit to essential timelines, work out what can be delegated and or shared, and build a team based on trust and healthy boundaries. So I guess that you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. So set healthy boundaries in the workplace by prioritising items to focus on and negotiating agreed timelines and outputs. Keep communication a priority as this builds morale and confidence. A lack of boundaries affects productivity and can cause stress and anxiety. Becoming aware of people and situations that may cause discomfort is a sure sign that you may need to reset a boundary or communicate it more clearly. I know this firsthand. For a while at work, I had notifications switched on for Dropbox. What that meant is every time someone updated something on Dropbox, I'd get a notification disrupt my concentration. I was astonished at just how disruptive that little notification became. And because our team was working on a major update on the Dropbox files, it was happening more times than I cared for. Switching notifications off was a saving grace. I was back working in the zone and feeling much more relaxed and way more productive. You know, the ultimate focus time for work varies between 40 minutes, like think of a student lesson, and say 1 to 1.5 hours or more. And we all know that great feeling when you're working in the zone and marking things off your urgent and important lists. Interestingly, when you've been interrupted, it can take over 20 minutes to get back on track. In the meantime, you've lost valuable time and productive time. There's an adage that holds true. If everything is important, nothing is. Think about how many interruptions you get in a day. As the leader of your life, carve out time when you can't be accessed. These tips might just be what you need. It's a good idea to protect your time by making yourself unavailable at certain times. But remember that it's vitally important to help define what constitutes an appropriate emergency to your team, just in case they need to access you during a designated Do Not Disturb time slot. Include the days and hours that you are available in your email signature. Silence notifications so that emails and messages aren't disrupting your Do Not Disturb time slots at work or when you're with family or out socialising. Also, update your digital calendar to include scheduled breaks for lunch each day so that colleagues know not to set meetings for that time. What you gain is increased confidence, better connections, more meaningful interactions, and higher productivity. Who doesn't want more than that? Setting and maintaining boundaries is healthy for our well-being and for our relationship, whether it's putting a pegged fence around certain topics, gossip, or saying no to invitations that are not aligned with who you truly are. But what we don't want to do is become ruthless with boundaries. We're talking about healthy boundaries, ones that we can live with consciously and not to the detriment of valued relationships. Try a slowly approach as you practice redeeming control of your time and effort. Baby steps will help. You've got a meeting, see if you can put a time limit in place. People dropping by your office, have an hour a day when the door is closed. Reading something, keep your finger on the page as a marker. Most people will recognise that you're eager to get back to it. Once you start to set healthy boundaries, you'll feel liberated from the nagging Nellies and the Debbie Downers and then the interrupter Ivans, and you'll feel better for protecting your time to enjoy pursuing your goals, commitments and downtime. By not always being switched on to others means there's more time for freedom, energy and creativity for you, and you may never know what clarity and ideas come from this newfound freedom. This week, work out where you need to communicate boundaries more effectively or create new boundaries to protect your time and productivity, and what it is that you say yes to and what it is that you say no to. I hope that you enjoy this podcast and that you've got some take-home gems on how to elegantly shape your day, create boundaries, and live your best life. Until next time. You've been listening to Business Class presented by Eugenia Panterhos, founder of Business Class Collective. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcast, subscribe, rate and review this podcast. Share the love and let your family and friends know too. You can follow Business Class Collective on Instagram and Facebook. Join me next time.